What we're going to do today, without editing the video, in commemoration of the fact that we have published past the 100-page level of Human Chemical Thermodynamics, shown here, which took 25 years to reach this level. We're going to give an overview of how or what the hurdles were or barriers to get to this point. So over here, of course, we have, as many will know, Human Chemistry, 2 volumes, published in 2007. The Human Molecule, 2008. We have 10 plus volumes of online HMOpedia, maybe 12 to 15 volumes by now, 5,300 articles available for viewing online. Basically, footnotes to this small little book. And over here we have 2013, 2014 draft attempt at writing Chemical Thermodynamics Applied to the Humanities. Over here we have the 2002 to 2003 1,000-page small booklet draft attempt at what was then called human thermodynamics. In other words, the subject of how free energy, G as a function of enthalpy and entropy, explain sexual attraction or attractions in general in society, and meaning, purpose, point of existence, and so on. Over here we have Volume 2. Let's look at how this all started in 1995. Was that, in my mind, as a chemical engineering student at the University of Michigan, man, MX, plus a female, F sub Y, reacts, forming a child, P sub C, baby sub child. At this point, I didn't have the conceptual understanding of the MXFY dihumanide molecule, or male and female bonded together. This came later. Over here we have the first draft, 2002, MX plus FY reacts to form the couple. Over here we have the finalized version. Third question, the explanation of existence, in 23 chapters, wherein the human molecule was derived in the chapter What Happens When You Die, wherein the question of what happens when you die led to the question of what exactly is a person, technically, from the point of view of elements, physics, chemistry, the totality of definition of matter in the universe at the point of existence, the point of stoppage of existence. Where here we have the draft letter, which was sent to Bantam Dell Publishing Company. In 2002 by myself, which I tended to explain colloquially was known as love in terms of chemical thermodynamics. Ideas were very crude at this stage. the general idea was in place. Stepping forward, we will now casually look through the first 100 pages of the now printed Human Chemical Thermodynamics, wherein we see having progressed now through 5,300 articles of historical research, which resulted in clarification of details. That on the left, the physical chemist who's looking on the woman or female here, trying to symbol B, trying to explain to the male symbol A or chemical A, or teach him in a flirting way the principles of physical chemistry. Whereas the physical chemist here, which is myself or Goethe, is trying to understand this reaction in terms of basic principles of physical chemistry, wherein water reacts with oxygen, wherein the principle that determines this is the negative or the differential of the free energy change being less than or equal to zero. Where, for example, the dinitrogen molecule has 3 strong double electron bonds, which can be compared to strong, powerful bond between 2 people, such as A and B. And then we have, of course, in the center, the core of the problem, which is the differential change entropy on the left is equal to the inexact differential of heat divided by the absolute temperature of the system, at the point wherein the heat enters the system. This is the system defined by the boundary wherein the human molecules, or A and B, react. The opening dedication, Henry Adams, who spent 50 years on the same problem that I have, explains in 1864 that he is quite ready to receive a systematic conception of it all. We will point out that Henry Adams, some 40 to 45 years later, sought out and found the student of Willard Gibbs, the symbol G here, the eponym of Willard Gibbs, the smartest person that America has ever produced according to Einstein, and found his graduate student Henry Bumstead and got him to proofread his phase theory of history, which he paid for. Next we have the progress report here. We are at 17 April 2020, 127 pages, 5,300 pages of online preliminary material printed at eoht.info or HMLpedia. The title of the book, as it currently stands, is Human Chemical Thermodynamics. Chemical Thermodynamics applied to the humanities, meaning, morality, purpose, sociology, economics, ecology, history, philosophy, government, anthropology, politics, business, jurisprudence, religion, relationships, warfare, and love. The title pages have progressed as follows. We will be dealing with explicit atheism. There will be no discourse with respect to suppositions or supporting theories of God. We will be defining the human chemical thermodynamically as a powered chin-ups plus thing. That is a powered thing made of the elements carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, plus 20 other elements, which goes back definitions 100 years ago. We will define the boundary of the social system, the molecular formula of a human, which was calculated by myself in 2002, along with Cerner and Elser in 2000. We will dig through the etymology of chemistry and thermodynamics. Where on a curious note, I recently found out that the element Q, or not necessarily the symbol Q we use in thermodynamics, which corresponds to the Greek theta, is the numerical symbol of 9, which corresponds to the 9 gods of the Egyptian Enad, which are the 9 gods produced by the Egyptian sun god Ra, according to the mythology of the Heliopolis creation myth, which is very interesting. We'll dig into Parmenides' denial of the void, which was one of the roadblocks, or not necessarily roadblocks, but irritations that led to the launching point of thermodynamics. We'll dig through Aristotle. Hero is Pneumatica being one of the historical points in respect to its republication or translation in Italy in about 1500 AD that launched the exploration into the development of heat engines. We will digress into Galileo and his 1638 thought experiment in a way to measure the vacuum, which is very interesting. And here's where we stand at the current moment. We've passed the Georg chapter, the Otto Georg chapter, when he pioneered the development of the vacuum measuring device. And now we're into the Boyle's spring of the air, when he, after hearing about Georg's vacuum engine, started to build his own vacuum pumps and receptacles and calculated what's known as Boyle's law. From here, it was a matter of domino steps before Papin built the first, or theorized about the first steam engine, which was actually built in reality by Newcomen, then Watt. Then we have Newton with the 3 laws of motion, or there with the reciprocity relationship, and Carnot. These are chapters that haven't been written yet, but when we get to Clausius, some of which hasn't been penned, we understand where the concept of entropy comes from. Here's the abstract of the entire subject. On the top, hydrogen reacts with hydrogen to form H2. Second row, H2 reacts with oxygen for H2O. Third reaction, methane reacts with oxygen to form CO2 and water. And the fourth reaction, man reacts with woman to form a couple plus a child. These are all governed by the same laws, namely chemical thermodynamics. This will be explained fully in the treatise. At the bottom we have what's called the famous or infamous, depending on your point of view, characteristic function notation table, where over the last years, the symbols that are used for the 5 main thermodynamic variables have changed over the years. Originally, internal energy defined by the symbol U by Clausius in 1865, then S for entropy, which, as we discuss, or we'll talk about in the video, is the summation of the transformation equivalents going into and out of the system in a Carnot cycle, which has been confused over the last 155 years as the incorrectly conceptualized disorder of the system. Gibbs defined it as these Greek symbols, which is based on Francois Masso, as we'll explain. And it was Helmholtz who in 1882 defined free energy, which we now would think of as Gibbs free energy, but he is the one who introduced this concept. And we have Gilbert Lewis, who is basically the kingpin of modern chemical thermodynamics, but it was not until Guggenheim who solidified more what Lewis had done, and then finally Edward Zemansky, who initiated or finalized the symbols as U, internal energy, S, entropy, H, enthalpy, F, the Helmholtz free energy, or constant volume, constant pressure free energy, which we use in bomb experiments, and G, the constant pressure, constant temperature free energy, which defines social systems. This is where we will want to focus our energy over the next 1,000 years. Here we have the specifics of the Journal of Human Thermodynamics, launched by myself in 2005 to 2010, wherein we published 3 dozen or so articles which got stalled out by the fact that I had progressed more than the level of the articles that were being submitted, A, and B, it was too much for one person to edit and correct all these articles. 2007, Human Chemistry, wherein we established the fact that humans chemically react together. 2008, Human Molecule, which established the fact that we are 26 element things. And the 2016 10-volume print set of HMLpedia, which is now at 12 to 15 volumes, which is basically footnotes and background material to Human Chemical Thermodynamics. Over here we have some introductory material. Talk about over here Laplace in 1802 said, "I have no need for the hypothesis of God in my 5-volume of Celestial Mechanics." We have progressed very little past this point in the last 200 years. Over here we have the subsection on religion and explicit atheism, which will be followed throughout this book, being direct in the fact that Abraham, the so-called patriarch of the monotheistic religions, is in fact a mythology based on the sun god Ra, and that we will be usurping all of this with human chemical thermodynamics. Here we have the dating system we will employ, not necessarily fully throughout the text, but in key points, that when we date years according to the myth of the resurrection of Jesus, we are in fact talking about a number of Christ figures that go back in time to Horus, which, according to Wallace Budge, is the oldest god of all in Egypt, dating back to 3,500 or more BC. So, in short, Jesus is a rescript of Horus, so we'll be dating years to after Christ the myth in some points of dates. Here we will digress in Chapter 1, What is a Human? Certainly questions or answers to this question are various. We will step through the so-called atomic or elemental definitions of human, including the ancient religious models of human as a clay thing created by the sun god Ra, born out of the tip of a pyramid. Here is the Egyptian model of the human. Of course, clay thing with a discernible shadow, secret name, ghost, soul, and spirit, which many people in modern day believe. We'll touch on the Goethe model of the human, 1809, as a Keim thing, which he explains through 3 ciphers in his book, Elective Affinities, or more like 3 plus many ciphers. we will touch on how a human is a powered Chinese plus thing, powering, replacing the concept of life. And here we have animate versions of humans. And here we have a new version of the periodic table, recently edited by myself. And we see 26 elements that define a human, which is basically what you are. You see the top human reproduction reaction, which is basically where you came from. We see the so-called Sheen periodic table from 1970, which shows the distribution of elements on the Earth. Hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen being the main elements, which no doubt, or coincidentally, or not coincidentally, but by repercussion, define what exactly human is, shown here by percentages. Here we see the famous rock versus human comparison, frequently seen in philosophy, which is, in my opinion, the most benign or idiotic thing, yet the most intelligent thing that we frequently come across, is that what is the difference between a rock and a human? The answer being that a